The second response, because Hawking's model employs, as you mentioned earlier, imaginary time, the model should be understood, he says, in an anti-realist, or we might say an instrumentalist way, as basically a useful fiction, right? In other words, he's not claiming this is the way reality actually is. This is just a good way to explain it. It's a good story that helps us to explain it. Who knows what reality is? So it's an anti-realist or an instrumental approach to scientific theory. It's a useful fiction in order to help us to explain, rather than a realist way as an actual depiction of the real world. So some of you may recall, or earlier in the book, he makes this distinction between anti-realist and realist theories of science, or perhaps better, anti-realist and realist perspectives on theories of science. The realist says that scientific theories gives us truth, or at least approximate truth, and that the entities that they posit are real existing entities that actually do exist. That's what the realist says, or that's what the models purport to do. The anti-realist or the instrumentalist says, no, theories don't really give us any truth. They just give us useful stories, useful fictions in order to help us to explain our observations. We don't know whether they're true and whether things that they posit, the entities they posit, are real. And so that's the anti-realist position. So these are philosophical positions about the nature of scientific theory. And so he's saying here that Hawkins is employing, with this imaginary time in his model, an anti-realist position. In fact, he says that Hawkins had acknowledged that this was his view, anti-realism, not a realistic depiction of reality, but rather a theory that merely has instrumental value. So Hawkins didn't shy away from that. He, in fact, admitted that's what he was doing. But notice what he does here, J.P. Moreland. He says Hawking's admission that his model is nothing but a useful fiction must have come from his science? No, from his reading of philosophy of science in order for him to explicitly call himself an anti-realist. That's where that idea comes from.
Yeah.
Thus, it was the discipline of philosophy, he points out, that both placed Hawking's model in the classification which it belongs, a useful fiction, anti-realist position, and continued to show that his model did nothing whatsoever to undermine beliefs in the universe's beginning. And so Hawking's, for all his dismissing of philosophy, has to use philosophy in developing and explaining his model. Go figure.